1,150 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. And he didn't just vanish, something happened, and it's called a code red on steroids. And what do I mean by that? I'm going to go on Facebook and make sure I'm connected. And I want to talk about the code red on steroids and what all that means. Make sure that I'm connected here. And I'm coming on very late. We're burning the midnight oil. And yeah, it looks like I'm live. There we go. There we go. Okay. So I can see everybody's comments now. Thank you so much. So happy Saturday night, right? Happy Saturday night. So Richard didn't just go missing. There was a code red on steroids. So what does that mean? That means that the level of evil, the culture has gone out of control on Fort Bliss. And, I just want to warn the people of El Paso because it's seeping into the El Paso community. And you see that because of this Walmart shooting. And the Walmart shooting, the prosecutor, 49 years old, has now passed away. And, I don't know about y'all, but, it looks like from the reporting is that was his only case, was the Walmart case, that he was brought in to deal with something that diabolical, that evil. And when you are surrounded always by that kind of evil, um, I don't know, bad things happen. It rubs off. Why does God talk about sanctification all the time? Um, because things rub off, right? We're sanctified. Why does he say, think about what's beautiful, what's noble, what's true, what's good, what's praiseworthy? Because that rubs off. That becomes our life. But if we're thinking about um, bad things, and from the very beginning, I haven't broadcasted what all the CID, what all the command was smearing Richard for, because I felt that that would be an evil spirit onto the investigation, furthering the evil spirit um, on Richard's investigation, on his search, on his disappearance. And so I just would say they're up to no good. I would say that they launched a smear campaign. And because this case is so really is has a lot of evil spirit on it. It has a lot of really noble, good, true spirit from Team Find Richard Halliday, and that's why we've gotten so far. But this is a spiritual war, and um, you can see that with this whole Walmart case. And the Walmart case should have quickly be, brought to an end. It has used millions of dollars unnecessarily um, from taxpayers, bringing uh, bringing a lot of curses on anyone that got near it, and including, I believe, this prosecutor being cursed by the Walmart case. When you have a Walmart case, a situation like that, you need to bring it to an end very quickly, and yeah, get justice very quickly, and then bury it deep. Um, so that's my opinion with that, and of course, it is um, not not a coincidence that the same attorney that was with this Walmart case is also, well, I don't know if I should even go into it. I don't know if I should even go into it. I'll just say that Richard's case has been not ignored. Millions of dollars have gone into it, but not for justice sake, but for cover up. Okay? For cover up. And it involves an attorney. And of course, the attorney is well known there in the El Paso area, is bilingual, is LDS. Um, I don't think he's 6 foot, but middle aged, right there, middle aged, um, or getting close to middle age. What is middle age? So, yeah, I think maybe I should just do it that way. I shouldn't really say his name yet, but it's really important to start bringing that to everybody's attention because it's always a lawyer. It's always, needed in a coordinated attack. And that's exactly what happened to Team Fine Richard Halliday, what happened to the investigation that botched the investigation. It's totally a botched investigation because of the coordinated attack on our investigation into our son. And so there are so many elements to it, but I think this is very, very important to bring this up along with the plane, to let everyone forewarn everybody about the plane. We are getting institutional support, and so the FAA, um, yeah, yeah, because planes, they're uh, it's all it's all logged. Everything is logged, so we can get a lot of help there. Um, the other the other thing that I really wanted to talk about, and I can't stress enough that this is a spiritual war because I don't think that it's been a spiritual war for I think over way over 100 years. And that's why at the very beginning of this, when we were in the COVID, and I would say the germ theory is trash, and um, the theory of evolution is trash, Darwin's theory is trash. Um, it was a battle against evil spirits. And I really believe those are evil spirits to make everyone afraid of each other. Can you imagine being afraid to share a drink? Or, if you're a kid, I see with my grandkids, they want to try each other's foods and popsicles and whatnot. Um, and, they're out there playing. Uh, they're not saying, "Oh, let me go wash my hands first," or "Let me go sanitize this first." So that's why I said that the germ theory is trash, and I really believe it is. I'm a terrain theory person. I really believe in the terrain theory, and that's a spiritual thing, right? Terrain. If you surround yourself with good things and you have good food and good air and good water, and um, you structure your water. A lot of people don't know about that. You structure your water, and uh, you know you surround yourself with good morals, um, good music, all of these things. You're going to be much healthier mentally and physically. And I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm saying that's what I believe in. Um, and so from the very get go, I saw on the other side, um, with the CID, with the command, um, a want to be sick, a want to sickness, a want to surround themselves with sickness, a want to surround themselves with fear, a want to surround themselves with negativity and with smearing and um, just an altogether bad ideology, a bad spirit, and red flags went up for us. Red flags went up for us. And now that we know about Thomas Kane, very close with the CID, um, that confirmed that our key witness and whistleblower, also a whistleblower, was retaliated against by Leilani Hart, unjustly, absolutely unjustly. And, so that's a bad spirit. And that's what I was talking about Leilani Hart. Here she is in Hawaii. I think it's Schofield Barracks. Correct me if I'm wrong. But she absolutely created chaos there on the entire base because they had to move her several times. There were so many harassment charges. There was a break of a restraining order. There was um, a conviction, a conviction um, of, lying to law enforcement authorities. And, you know, can you imagine the boldness that you have to have? And there's more to it, y'all. And I'm not at liberty to tell you everything because it involves so many other people. But I can tell you this. Um, it was she brings in an evil, very evil spirit. And so if you are around her, I'm just telling you, we have evidence upon mountains of evidence that will warn you that she brings um, a very, very bad spirit that surrounds her, of chaos, of harm, of carelessness, of definitely not love, not love, not caring, not hope, not joy, not long suffering, no, of revenge, revenge and hate and taking advantage of people and getting over on people and theft and stealing people's identities and making people live in fear and just the harassment, harassment, and harassment. Um, and what do I mean by the stealing of identity? You know, this whole thing with the VA, this whole thing with the VA, how in the world can she get away with spreading her pollution, with spreading her very bad vibes, spreading her evil? And it's like that. What is that? Spider-Man, the black Spider-Man or whatever that uh, spews all this black stuff or whatever. Anyway, I don't know about that movie so much. So, but just one look at the face and whatever, it's ugh. No, thank you. I'll go watch something else. Um, yeah, and so I'm just forewarning people, and I feel like Berlin, and I talked about this yesterday. I just touched on it a little bit. I think Berlin has morphed into that too, and that's why she's coming back into the picture. She's coming back into the investigation. And unfortunately, she has been, uh, polluted, polluted by this evil spirit, and it brings so much harm. And if you're going to be like, you know, a black widow spider, or, you know, I don't know, someone that will lure somebody into harm, you know, lure them, entice them, um, con them. Remember Danae? She's like this con artist. Um, and don't ever forget that she, you know, she's still out there. Um, to to mislead somebody, to lure them, to entice them. This is a very evil spirit, and to lure them to harm, and that's a crime. That is a crime. You don't hold someone down while they're being stabbed and say, "Well, I didn't do the stabbing," right? You don't lure someone into a dangerous situation and say, "Oh, you know, I didn't do the danger." You know, you don't do that. You can't say that. You are absolutely culpable. Um, and you know, it's long due for a lot of knocks on the door, like I talked about yesterday. It's a long due for a lot of knocks on the door, and you know, we're patient, we're long suffering, we're hopeful, and I think that those knocks on the door are on their way because we are getting institutional support, and we're starting to understand why so many that knew what happened and have information, why they couldn't, wouldn't, were not willing to do the right thing. And it, you know, goes around this VA thing. There's many reasons because there's different businesses involved in this. As a corporation, there is LLCs, um, you know, up to no good, all up to no good. They give the pretense that they're noble and good, but they're not. They're have none of the deeds of anything good, and so they have a wicked agenda, a really wicked agenda on the pretense of being noble and helpful and good. And so, but you know, God sees through them absolutely. And this is sadly not exactly what happened in the VA because the VA is set up for something good to help veterans, right? It is set up to help the veterans. And of course, the American taxpayers give a lot of money, a lot of support, even donations to Veterans Affairs. To, I mean, we have given to uh, disabled veterans for years, um, and have gotten T-shirts and all of that, right? Supporting our veterans. So the Veterans Affairs is, you know, originally had uh, in mind a good purpose, and but you know, on Fort Bliss, um, it really needs to be retrenched because Leilani Hart, in her accusations, in her affidavits, in her writings, she she talks about her husband in IDES PEBLo, which is the Disability Medical Board for Veterans, and she, you know, makes all kinds of terrible accusations. And I'm, excuse me, get a sip here. So, and what is she? Yeah, I have to cough on that one because some of the accusations I really can't mention. I'd have to pray and pray during and pray after, because it, you know, it always, there's always this sexual cult element of all of this which is also a really bad spirit and really degrades what God has given us. It's um yeah, and it gets very criminal. It really does. Um so what does she allege as far as the fraud, the waste and abuse in the VA, in the Veterans Affairs, specifically in the IDES-PEBLo, right? Uh, the health board, the medical board for deciding on the disability benefits, the percentages, right, of our veterans. And, it seems to be more on what have you done for me today? Um, are you helping me with my evil deeds? This is what the accusations are, that, you know, veterans that were chosen or part of the cabal would be coached into getting a better disability. Um, Pretty high disability. It seems like, because um, we know from, I think, didn't I read, or was it sent to me, that Michael Ruggiero was 100% disabled? I don't know. Someone clarify that for me. I know that Leilani Hart, 100% disabled. I know the David Poche, he's 100% disabled. Um, and, maybe they are. Maybe they are. But I just think that it needs to be investigated, because it seems there's a lot of others um, that are in this inner circle that seem to have, reaped the benefits of not paying taxes and all kinds of other benefits from being a high percentage, very high percentage in disability benefits. And so when you're talking about, you follow the money, right? You follow the money. And who issued this? Was it right there out of the Fort Bliss veterans benefits? And has it been investigated properly? Because, and this is not me. I want to make that very, very clear. This is not me making the accusations for the VA there on Fort Bliss. This is Leilani Hart. Uh, Leilani Hart brought this up. So if anyone is getting mad at me for suggesting that at the VA there on Fort Bliss, they're committing fraud, waste, and abuse when it comes to disability benefits of veterans, that some that are undeserving are getting high disability percentages and getting those benefits, while others that might not want to participate in the cabal are not getting it, that this is a control feature, and that social security numbers are being used illegally, fraudulently, to get, loans and everything. I don't know anything about this. It's like when the first time I talked to Leilani Hart with Special Agent Soto, and she was asked about drugs, and she just rattled off every illegal drug. And I was like, what? How does this young girl know? I mean, I'm in my 50s. I don't know what she just said. I don't know what she just said. And she's just rattling this off. It's like, is she in the drug market? Is she in the drug business? She seems to be in the drug business or the drug market. Or maybe she listens to music that has a lot of that kind of drug talk in it. I don't know. But, it's not, I had no idea. I would not even know how to say it. And it's the same thing with what's going on in the VA there. I wouldn't know that kind of fraud, that kind of evil spirit would be in our VA, that they would use identities of our veterans and give it to other people, that they would use social security numbers wrongly or give it to other people. I wouldn't know that. I'm learning some things from my son and daughter, from their experiences in the workplace. People, having social security numbers of other people. Uh, yeah, that does happen, that they've run into that. Um, but in our Veterans Affairs, and to take our disabled veterans information or any of our veterans information and misuse it like that, when you're in a trusted job and you get paid very well, and you can't really get fired, I guess. You can't, it's just such a secure job, and there's so many people out there that would love a secure job like that. And then you're going in there and you're being ungrateful, and you're you're committing fraud. You're committing fraud and stealing from the very taxpayers that gave you that job, that gave you that trust. Um, yeah, and that comes from Leilani Hart. She was very angry about that this was going on at the Veterans Affairs. I don't know if she was just trying to be vindictive, if she was trying to retaliate. I think there's a really good chance that it wasn't that she cared about the veterans, that she cared that veterans' identities were being used, that veterans were being controlled by, um, threats or uh, payouts, I guess, being bribed with high percentage rates for their disability benefits. I don't know if she really cared about the crime part of it, because she is a convicted criminal, but maybe, she was just mad. Maybe she was just, I think that's more of the case. She was just trying to retaliate. She was just trying to be vindictive. And, um, you know, but God uses the strangest things to get justice, right? So in her vindictive affidavit, her attempt to be vindictive, we might get real justice in the Veterans Affairs, for our veterans. So it's really amazing. They mean it for bad, but God means it for good. And the story of Joseph is one of my favorite stories in the Bible. So, and that's very clear in this picture. I just don't think that she had any good intention. But who am I? Who am I to say what intention she had? Um, what I can say is that the Inspector General of the VA needs to do a good investigation into what's going on at the VA there at Fort Bliss, because I just hit, the tip of the iceberg. She laid out so much more of the fraud, waste, and abuse than what I just told you. And and I don't even want to pollute you with more of the details. I just want to say that she absolutely claimed that there's a lot of fraud, waste, and abuse going on at the VA. Now, the point that she didn't bring up, that I think is very, very important, and being attached to the military my whole life, serving the military my whole life, really, um, I will say this, that I know that unqualified people would get jobs that qualified people should get, but didn't, because of disability benefit um, privileges. And I think that needs to be looked at too, because we have many people that if this is true, if this is true that people are getting their disability benefits percentages fraudulently, right? For being part of a cabal or staying silent or whatever. You can it's not even staying silent. You think that that's all you're doing, but that's not all you're doing. It's kind of like the story of luring. Oh, I just enticed them. I just called him 6 times. I just got him to the parking lot. Then I got a different ride home. The rest was the compromised police. The rest were whatever lawyer was organizing the compromised police. That wasn't me. That wasn't me. I just got him there. It's the same thing. It really is just about the same thing. You can't just say I keep quiet, because quiet is consent. Silence is consent. If you know something, um, it's going to eat at you too. You know what I mean? It's going to eat at you. And that's why you need to come forward and confess. And I've said for a long time, not me again, but a wonderful book called The Cure of Souls. And it's about confession being the cure of souls. It's something good. It's something right. It's something wonderful. Even though you might be confessing to something horrible, the confession itself is so good and is so sanctifying. It's so purifying, that it will put a skip in your walk. It's kind of like how Amazing Grace was written, right? um, what what the author was uh, confessing was so horrible. It was such a horrible thing, but yet the confession itself was so freeing, was so beautiful, was so magnificent, was so sanctifying, that his heart was able to write Amazing Grace. And I think, that would go in history, number one hymn of all time, right? Of all time. Um, and that was the result of a confession. So, confession, and, they've taken confession out of churches. And I think an evil spirit did that, because everyone knows that that's a sacrament. Confession is a sacrament. And so, whenever you do the sacraments, you are going to have that sense of sanctification, that sense of epiphany, that sense of beauty, that sense of freedom. Um, and, it's not, oh, okay, I'll just get baptized. Oh, okay. Why do I need to have communion? Why do I need to have the Eucharist? Why do we need to do confirmation? Why do we need ordination? Why do we need unction? Why should the hospitals call in others to come and pray over a sick person? Why do we need to have the unction, the oils um, of embracing that person with love, so that they can get healthy? It's a spiritual war out there, and health is a spiritual war, and people are not really having that uh, sacrament of unction. Um, we barely can get people to take the Lord's Supper or to be baptized, and once it's a blessing every time. Of course, one baptism for the faith, but it's such a blessing. Everything is such a blessing when you are abiding by the sacraments, and confession is a sacrament. So the laying on of hands is a sacrament, right? That's ordination. The laying on of hands, the voting. Why do you think we even have voting? And that's why they want to try to mess with voting, because it's always a way to get back at the freedom of what the church has given us, right? What the faith has given us. And, voting is absolutely from the sacrament of the laying on of hands. And so, yeah, it's amazing that such wonderful, wonderful things can come from observing a sacrament. You know, uh, it's so much deeper than what we even know. It's so much deeper. So, yeah, I got off topic, but I just wanted to let's answer some questions. I just am amazed at that. I never know what I'm going to come on here and talk about. I sometimes label the live stream a certain topic, and then I come on and I don't know. I don't have really a lot of preparation lately because of the help from the institutions. I've had some notes because it's really we're getting very close. With this plane, with what's going on at the VA, that explains so much. Who's who? We are learning who's who. Who is Ann Ogle? Who is Thomas Kane? Really? Who is Leilani Hart? Who is Dallas Hart? Who are they? Who is Belen Rocha? And what happened? What really happened? Because you know, I'm getting a total from the intel coming from within Fort Bliss. I'm getting a much different narrative than what we were told at the beginning, especially about how Richard met Boleyn. Totally different. And they couldn't tell us the truth because the truth would involve those that they were protecting, right? Would involve those who they were trying to protect. And a pretty evil spirit on Fort Bliss, okay? A pretty fraudulent and just stealing. People go, "Oh, I'm just stealing some equipment." I'm just doing that. I'm not going to do the child pornography. I'm not going to do the child sex trafficking. But what's some ammunition? We've got so much ammunition. What is some guns? We've got so much. And what is it? If we just lend out a social security number or whatever, it's called inflation. It's called the domino effect. Because inflation is the hidden tax. Because all of it costs so much money. All the crime costs so much money that they have to print money, and the more they print money, the more they devalue our currency, and the more they devalue our currency, the prices of everything go up, right? So, and us little people, we're on the bottom of the totem pole. We don't get the raises. Um, we don't get the inside scoop and whatever to offset the inflation. And, so it hurts us. It hurts, and even those really, the poor, really hurts the poor. So just be mindful of every time someone steals something. And I was in that store and I just saw him stealing these purses. And he's like, "Oh, these are just Coach purses. It's just what rich people want." But it's not true. It's not true because the work that went into making those Coach purses came from the laborer. Came from the laborer. And he was stealing from the laborer. And that we're counting on uh, uh, people that wanted to buy these expensive purses. Um, so it's I really encourage everyone to watch iPencil because it makes you think of the economy in such a different way. It was really a game changer for me. I think it's Leonard Reed. Is it Leonard Reed? So, Anicia, thank you so much. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your love. And Marilyn, thank you. Have you talked to the chaplain there? Yes. And the chaplain told us he couldn't tell us much, but he could tell us this, that Richard had a great faith. He was amazed at Richard's great faith. He did tell us that. Because at the very beginning, they were telling us that Richard was an atheist. Remember that? And then we got his stuff, and his Christmas tree was in it, and we're like, okay. And they're trying to spin the narrative on how the devious way how he met Boleyn, and um, what he wanted from her. And I'm like, okay, you don't know my son. Um, and then we have evidence where he rejected her. He absolutely rejected her. Um, and he still cared for her to not be in that kind of sex cult atmosphere. And she thought he was weird. He thought she thought he was weird. That, and I'll never forget this. She's like, "You're so weird for caring about me. For caring about me. You're so weird." Um, so I think that she has been put in a lot of uh, terrible situations. I don't know if you can compare her to the 14-year-old girl that was living in the barracks being raped multiple times every night because of being pimped out, prostituted out in the barracks, um, which is disgusting, which is definitely needs investigation into that. So I don't know if you can compare Boleyn to that. I don't know, but it's definitely so sad. I can never really, as evil as I see coming from her, it just makes me so sad. I don't even get angry, and I know that she lured, and that's criminal. And I'm sure that knocks on the door are coming, and the others know who they are, and the knocks on the door are coming, and that's not from me. Um, that's a different mother, and I think that that is um, a really good analogy to copy, to repeat. So have you, yeah, blessings to you and your family. Thank you so much, and thank you for the blessing. Thank you for the prayer. This is terrible what the Hallidays are going through, and for some reason, Richard isn't found. Come on, USA military. It is way overdue for an answer. Get Richard found. Absolutely. And they're so silent. They're not even using their media. And so it's really giving President Trump a huge platform because he talks about that the media is the number one enemy of the American people. And I can tell you, it's been very, very clear in Richard's case that the media have not supported our service members by ignoring Richard's case, by ignoring uh, a code red on steroids, okay, by ignoring following the money trail because they can do it. If we can do it, they can do it easily, easily by ignoring the money trail that leads to this LDS lawyer, that leads to this plane, that leads to the van, that leads to the GPS OnStar on the van, that leads to a truck, that leads to a motorcycle. let's say it all. You know, that leads to the tactical move storage unit, that leads to Red Rio Range, that leads to south of the border, um, yeah, by the media not getting this information, that absolutely Richard was arrested. I'm counting 4 times. I'm counting 4 times. And I think officially 2 times. 2 times officially and 2 extra times unofficially that he was arrested. I believe on July 23rd, because of the 6 phone calls, I believe that they couldn't convince him. They went and arrested him because we've had witnesses that said they drug him out. They had to drag him out of bed. Okay, they had to drag him out of his room. I believe that that was an arrest. I believe that that happened on July 23rd, um, because of the video that I have of him, and him buying a pistol 5 days before, fearing for his life, and telling me, he told me on the phone, I can't leave my room. I can't leave my room. So, and I thought it was for COVID purposes that they were keeping them in their room, and that there was all kinds of meal problems and stuff. But yeah, I didn't realize that. I think it was because he feared for his life, and I'm sad that he didn't tell us, but I want to let everyone know that at this point, 3 years of mountains of evidence, for many people, for many, many people, this is still hard to believe. And I think it was just so hard for people to believe that this was such an um, that this was a code red on steroids. That, hey mom, I was just set up. I was just set up, and they're after me because I'm a whistleblower. Um, at this point, it's like, yep, yeah. Why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you just leave? But 3 years ago, mentally, I don't know if we were at the same place. I know we weren't at the same place. And so, and I know that he knew we weren't at the same place. I don't think he knew the level of crime being committed. I don't think even though, we have confirmation that his social security number has been tampered with, and even his identity, and even his person, um, and we even get some other different intel that I have to get confirmation for before I tell you all about what's going on at the VA. Uh, and it looks like Richard was a victim of it. It's so strange. And they people are confused at how Richard was promoted twice recently, once in December of 2022 and then again in April of 2023, and they compare it with other people, but this is this is just uncomparable. You can't compare Richard's case, when they have sanitized information, they have scrubbed information, they scrubbed any mention of the key witness from his file. They scrubbed the field grade Article 15. They scrubbed the chaptering, and I should say sanitize the chaptering, sanitize the field grade Article 15 that were clearly, and we have them, so, for evidence sake, but clearly they were examples of the abuse of power, the pre-code red of retaliation, severe continuous retaliation that led to the murder of our son. And there is no doubt at this point that foul play, I mean, we've been saying foul play for a long time, and the unit knows, and we're have those dots connected, And we'll see with this institutional support. It's already, I think, starting to happen. And, just keep praying and do more than pray. Share all this information because this is really, we're getting the institutional support now. So, and I think, it's because of all the other things happening that, they're starting to go, oh, wow, maybe we do need to clean up things a little bit. Um, and I think that's why they're looking into the VA. I think that's why they're looking into Fort Bliss, into our son's case, and the media just hasn't covered it. Uh, which really, really it tells you that whoever owns the media outlets there in El Paso and all over, um, including the PAO, because Major General Eisenhower, he could absolutely get the PAO to fulfill the promises that Lieutenant General Beelzebub's brother, uh, Sean Bernabe, over there at Fort Hood, Fort Cavazos, promised us and never delivered. He could have delivered it, and that is a monthly announcement, written or on a radio or however they do their PAOs, about Richard. You know, and there's always been breaking news. There's always been new developments, and they haven't wanted to get that out. So there is connections between these people, business connections between these people, veteran connections between these people, and um, and criminal connections between these people. So yeah, it's not too late for some people to come clean, and because they're facing steep steep repercussions, penalties, steep, and some even the death penalty. And so yeah. Can you imagine? And I have to talk about this. They've made me talk about this. They've made us, Team Find Richard Halliday, have to live through this. So, but we're never going to give up until they give us Richard's remains, until we have accountability, for the sake of all the other service members. They were shaking. They were living in fear. They were being targeted for these sex cults. They were being targeted for drug sales. They were being targeted for prostitution sales. They were being targeted for gun sales and for criminal activities. And I think Richard, wanting to get into law enforcement, um, taking a class with Thomas Kane, um, being an intern in the CID, that's how he met Leilani. That's how he met Tavita. That's how he met Thomas Kane. And I think that's how he met others. And he saw things and he said things and he reported them to the CPS and he turned in the sex tapes and he reported things to the CID, and the IG were all over the barracks because of Halliday, and there were arrests. There were arrests in July of 2020. Okay, there were arrests in July of 2020, and then they did not protect him as a whistleblower, and because of those arrests in 2020, he disappeared on July 23rd, 2020, and yeah, and then they didn't even contact us. So um, that's pretty revealing right there. So, so a prime suspect, Leilani Hart, um, convicted criminal. Yeah, we need institutional support. We're getting institutional support, and we have confirmation that she's being looked at. So, with others. So, thank you so much, and God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. All right. Bye bye.